Echoes from the grave. Hey, Nightmare Haven crew. It's time to dive back into the darkness with a story that'll grip your soul, sent to us by one of our anonymous subscribers. Imagine you're a soldier, knee-deep in the mud of a war zone, bullets screaming past, your squad gone when the impossible happens. The voices of your dead friends guide you, pulling you from the jaws of death and showing you a glimpse of what lies beyond. Is it ghosts, aliens, or a force older than time? This tale of war and the supernatural will haunt you long after the screen goes dark. Grab a seat and let's march into the abyss. Part 1. The Shattered Line. The front line was a wound in the earth, a frozen trench carved through a nameless wasteland where war had devoured hope. Private Anton Koval, 30, crouched in the muck, his breath fogging in the sub-zero dawn. He'd enlisted 3 years ago, driven by a vague sense of duty, but the conflict, a grinding fictional clash over borderlands, had stripped him bare. His squad, his family, was gone. Oleg, the joker with a crooked grin, taken by a sniper. And Katya, the sharpshooter with a poet's heart, shredded by an artillery blast. Their deaths left Anton hollow, haunted by their faces, their voices, and the gnawing fear of his own end. Death wasn't just a possibility. It was a predator, stalking him in every shadow. The trench reeked of rot and gunpowder, its walls crumbling under frost. Anton's rifle was cold in his hands, his fingers numb despite his gloves. The sky was a slab of gray, heavy with the promise of snow. His unit, a ragtag group of survivors, huddled in silence, their eyes hollow. The radio crackled, the commander's voice cutting through. Koval, take point. Scout the village ruins. Report any hostiles. Anton's stomach twisted. The village was a death trap exposed, riddled with sniper nests. But orders were orders. He nodded, slinging his rifle, and crept out of the trench, mud clinging to his boots. The village loomed ahead, a skeleton of shattered homes and charred trees, its silence unnatural. Every step felt like a gamble, every shadow a threat. He scanned the ruins, his breath shallow, when the air exploded. An ambush enemy gunfire ripped through the morning, bullets tearing into the earth. Screams erupted as his unit fell, bodies crumpling in the mud. A mortar blast shook the ground, flinging Anton behind a collapsed wall, his ears ringing, his vision blurred. He pressed himself against the stone, heart pounding, as bullets chipped the wall. The radio was dead, its static a mocking hiss. His unit was gone, scattered or worse. He was alone, pinned in a kill zone, the enemy closing in. Anton's fear of death surged, a suffocating weight. He whispered to himself, a plea to no one. Not yet. Please. Then, impossibly, a voice answered, not from the radio, but inside his skull. Anton, move. It was Oleg's voice, rough, urgent, alive. Part 2. The Whispers. Anton froze, his breath catching. Oleg was dead, his body cold for months. Was this madness, the war finally breaking him? The voice came again, sharper. Move now, Anton. Right. A bullet grazed the wall, spraying dust, and Anton acted, crawling through the mud toward a ditch tangled with barbed wire. The whispers guided him. Low, stay low. He obeyed, heart hammering, as a sniper's shot tore into the ground he'd left behind. The ditch swallowed him, its shadows damp and cold, but he was alive for now. The gunfire slowed, the air heavy with smoke and silence. Anton clutched his rifle, scanning the ridge above. Enemy boots crunched in the frost, their voices low, hunting. He was trapped, his chances fading. Then he saw it, a flicker in the smoke, a shape like a man, its edges shimmering, translucent. It was Oleg, his face pale, his chest torn where the sniper's bullet had struck. His eyes glowed faintly, like dying coals, fixed on Anton. Anton's throat tightened. Oleg. He whispered, voice trembling. The figure didn't speak, but its gaze was heavy, urging him forward. Another shape appeared, Katya, her hair matted with blood, her leg twisted from the blast. She pointed to a ravine cutting through the ruins, her eyes burning with the same eerie glow. The whispers overlapped, Alek and Katya's voices a chorus. The ravine, Anton. Run. His mind screamed hallucination, trauma, anything but this, but a grenade's blast shook the ditch, spurring him. He ran, stumbling through the mud, the figures flickering ahead. The enemy's shouts grew closer, their gunfire sporadic but deadly. Anton's fear of death clouded him, but the whispers were a lifeline, pulling him toward the ravine's shadowed mouth. The air thickened, carrying a strange metallic tang, and he felt watched not by the enemy, but by something vast, its presence pressing against his mind like a storm. Part 3. The Threshold. The ravine was a gash in the earth, its walls slick with ice and jagged stone. Anton's boots slipped, his breath ragged, as the whispers grew louder, now a chant. Keep moving, Anton. Don't stop. Alek and Katya's forms led the way, their outlines blurring, their wounds leaking a faint glowing mist that clung to the air. The ravine felt alive, its walls pulsing faintly, etched with patterned spirals, eyes, shapes that seemed to writhe when he blinked. The metallic tang was stronger, a taste like blood and ash. Anton's skin prickled, as if the ravine was breathing, its gaze heavy. He stumbled, catching himself on the wall, and felt a jolt. His hand burned, not with cold but with heat, as if the stone was alive. The whispers urged him on. Almost there. The threshold. Threshold. He didn't understand, but the enemy's shouts echoed behind, their flashlights cutting through the dark. Alek's form turned, his glowing eyes piercing. You're close, Anton. Trust us. Katya's figure nodded, her mangled leg trailing mist. They led him to a dead end, a wall of ice, its surface shimmering with faint light, like stars trapped within. The patterns on the ravine's walls converged here, forming a spiral that pulsed in time with his heartbeat. The enemy was near, their boots loud, their voices sharp. Katya's voice was soft, urgent. Touch the ice. Anton hesitated, his scarred hands trembling, but a bullet ricocheted nearby, spurring him. He pressed his palm to the ice, and it seared his skin, a burning cold that tore a gasp from his throat. The wall shimmered, and his vision split. A gray, endless plain stretched before him, filled with countless figures, their eyes glowing, their forms neither dead nor alive. Alek and Katya stood among them, their voices a hymn. You see us. You are not alone. The ice parted, revealing a tunnel. Anton stumbled through, the enemy's shouts fading, and emerged in a snowy field, miles from the ravine. The figures were gone, the whispers silent, but his hand bore scar spirals, like the ravine's patterns, glowing faintly under his skin. He collapsed, gasping, alive, but changed. Part 4. The Awakening. Anton survived the ambush, the sole survivor of his unit. He was debriefed, his account of the ravine and whispers dismissed as shell shock. Medics bandaged his hand, puzzled by the spiral scar, its edges faintly luminescent. Anton said nothing, but he knew the truth. He'd crossed a threshold, seen the afterlife, a plane beyond death, vast and alive, where Alek and Katya waited, not as ghosts but as something more. His fear of death, once a crushing weight, was gone, replaced by a quiet certainty. He returned to the front, his eyes calmer, his movements deliberate. Comrades noticed the change, whispering of a man who'd stared into death and walked away untouched. At night, under skies torn by war, Anton felt them. Alek, Katya, and others, their presence a soft hum in his mind. The scar pulsed, a tether to the plane, a reminder that death was not an end but a door. Months later, Anton left the war, settling in a remote village where the stars burned bright. He carved the spiral scar's pattern into a pendant, a silent vow to remember. Locals spoke of a soldier who gazed at the heavens, unafraid, as if waiting for a signal. One night, under a rare aurora, Anton stood alone, the whispers returning, soft and warm. We are here, Anton. He smiled, his fear gone, his soul open to the eternal. The war faded, but the plane remained, its glow a constant in his dreams. Anton began writing, his words cryptic, shared only with a few. A journal of the threshold, the figures, the truth. It found its way online, a soldier's tale of ghosts and survival, sparking rumors of afterlife gates hidden in war's chaos. Anton didn't care for fame. He cared for the truth. The afterlife was real, and it was calling. And that's the haunting story of Anton and the echoes from the grave. Were his fallen comrades spirits, aliens, or something beyond our understanding? Drop your theories in the comments. If this tale left you chilled, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell to catch our next nightmare. Got a spooky story of your own? Send it to stories@nightmarehaven.com, links in the description, or share it in the comments. Want to stay anonymous? We've got you covered. Until next time, listen for the whispers. And don't fear the dark.